Dr. Yuki moved her 6 arms with practiced ease as she checked the medical scanner. Her blue crystal scales caught the soft light of the station's medical bay. She had been working on Harmony Station for 20 years now. Nothing surprised her anymore, or so she thought. "Doctor, we have another patient coming in," said Bomi, her young assistant. The Zephyrian's clear wings fluttered with excitement. "It's from a human ship." Yuki's scales dimmed slightly. Humans were new to this part of space. She had heard stories about them, but had never treated one of their animals before. What kind of creature? They didn't say, just that it's sick and needs help fast. The station's docking bay alarm rang through the medical center. Yuki watched through the window as a small human transport ship locked onto their station. The ship was nothing special, gray metal, with burn marks from space travel. But something felt different about this visit. Docking complete. Human vessel. Star Runner requesting immediate medical assistance. Came the voice over the CUM system. YUKI straightened her white medical coat. "Prepare operating room 3. Get the universal scanners ready." Minutes later, the medical bay doors opened. A human male walked in, carrying something that made Yuki's blood freeze in her veins. The creature was massive. Black fur covered a body that was all muscle and power. Its head was as big as Yuki's whole torso. Sharp white teeth showed between slightly open jaws. 4 legs ended in paws that had claws like small knives. Even unconscious, the animal looked like death itself. Every cell in Yuki's body screamed at her to run. Her people, the Veltheri, had been prey animals for millions of years. When they saw a predator, they froze or ran. It was not a choice, it was how their bodies worked. The human was tall and had dark hair. He looked calm, even friendly. He carried the monster like it weighed nothing, though Yuki could see the creature was easily 3 meters long. "Hi there," the human said with a smile. "I'm Captain Taman from the Star Runner. This big guy needs your help." Yuki could not move, could not speak. The predator's smell filled the room, wild and dangerous. Her 6 arms shook. Her breathing became fast and shallow. The creature's eyes opened. Golden eyes. Bright as small suns. They looked around the room with sharp intelligence. The kind of eyes that picked out the weak and the slow. The eyes of a killer. Then it made a sound. The growl started low, like distant thunder. It grew louder, deeper. The sound went through the floor, through the walls, through Yuki's bones. It was the sound that prey animals heard in their nightmares. The sound that meant death was coming. Yuki's body shut down completely. She could not move, could not think. Every part of her screamed to run, but her legs would not work. Her heart pounded so hard she thought they might break. Bomi made a small crying sound and backed toward the door. Her wings wrapped around her, body like a shield. Tae-Min looked at them both and laughed. Not a mean laugh, a warm, friendly sound. "Hey, sorry about that. I forgot how scary he looks when you first meet him." The human reached down and scratched behind the monster's ears. Just like that, like it was nothing. Like the creature wasn't built to tear him apart. "Chill," Doc Taman said, still smiling. "He's just a spoiled murder puppy." The impossible happened. The monster, the thing that should have been eating them all, began to make a different sound. A deep, rumbling noise that somehow sounded ... happy. It was purring. The 3-meter killing machine was purring like a giant house cat. "This is Shadow," Taman said, still petting the creature like it was harmless. "He's not feeling good today. Ate something he shouldn't have on our last planet. Stop. You know how it is with kids, they put everything in their mouths." Yuki's mind could not process what she was seeing. The human was talking about this monster like it was a child. A baby animal. Shadow. The predator now had a name, looked up at Taman with those golden eyes. But the look was not hungry or dangerous. It was ... loving. The same look young animals gave their parents. "He's been sick for 2 days now, Taman." Kintea running his hands through the black fur. "Won't eat, can't keep water down. I'm really worried about him." The love in the human's voice was real. This wasn't a trick or an act. This dangerous man truly cared about this dangerous animal. Shadow made a soft whimpering sound and pushed his massive head against Taemin's chest. The human hugged the predator's head with both arms. I know, boy. I know you don't feel good. The nice doctor is going to help you feel better. Yuki's medical training finally broke through her fear. An animal was sick. That was what mattered. That was why she became a doctor. What? What did he eat? She managed to ask. Her voice came out as a whisper. Taemin's face lit up. Great. I was hoping you'd help. We found these purple berries on Kepler 7. Most of the crew knew not to eat unknown plants, but Shadow got curious. You know how dogs are. Dogs. Yuki had heard that word before. Humans kept certain predators as friends. The idea made no sense to her. She took a step forward, then another. Her legs still shook, but she forced them to move. Shadow's golden eyes tracked her movement, but he did not growl again. He just watched. I need to scan him, Yuki said. To see what's wrong inside. Of course. Shadow, be good for the doctor, okay. Taemin said something else to the animal in soft, gentle words. Shadow's tail. Yuki had not noticed he had a tail, moved slightly. Was he wagging? Yuki pulled her scanner closer with 2 of her arms while keeping the other 4 ready to run if needed. The device would tell her what was happening inside the creature's body. As she worked, she noticed more impossible things. Shadow's breathing was calm around Taemin. His muscles were relaxed. This was not how predators acted. Predators were always tense, always ready to kill. But somehow, this one was different. How long have you had him? Yuki asked as she moved the scanner over Shadow's huge body. 5 years now. Found him as a baby on a mining station. Some bad people were keeping him in a tiny cage, using him for fighting. Poor little guy was half-starved and scared of everything. Taemin's voice got angry when he talked about the bad people, but gentle again when he looked at Shadow. Took months to get him to trust humans again. But now, look at him, big spoiled baby who thinks he's a lapdog. The scanner showed the problem. The purple berries had poisoned Shadow's stomach. Without treatment, the toxins would spread to his other organs. He could die in a few hours. But Yuki could fix this. She knew how to save him. For the first time since the doors opened, she felt hope instead of fear. The poison is bad, Yuki said, looking at her scanner results. But I can help him. We need to move him to the operating room now. Taemin nodded and gently lifted Shadow in his arms. The massive predator made no protest. He just rested his huge head against the human's shoulder like a tired child. Hear that, boy? You're going to be okay, Taemin whispered into Shadow's ear. Bomi stared with wide eyes as they moved through the station hallways. Other aliens stopped to look. A crystal worker dropped his tools when he saw them. 2 Luminian traders quickly moved to the other side of the corridor. They're all scared, Bomi said quietly to Yuki. Of course they are, Yuki replied. Look at those claws, look at those teeth. That thing could kill us all in seconds. But he's not trying to kill anyone. Yuki had no answer for that. It went against everything she knew about predators. In the operating room. Taemin carefully placed Shadow on the medical table. The table was meant for much smaller animals. Shadow's body hung over the edges, but he stayed still. I need to put him to sleep for the operation, Yuki explained. The medicine will make him unconscious so I can work. Will it hurt him? The concern in Taemin's voice surprised Yuki. Humans were supposed to be tough and brave, but this one. Worried about his predator like a parent worried about a sick child. No pain, she promised. He will sleep, then wake up feeling better. Yuki prepared the sleeping medicine. Her hands still shook a little, but her medical training took over. She had saved thousands of animals. This was just another patient. But as she reached toward Shadow with the injection, he growled again. Low and warning. Yuki froze. All her courage disappeared. It's okay, Shadow, Taemin said quickly. He moved to the predator's head and placed both hands on either side of it. The doctor is helping you. Be a good boy. Taemin looked into Shadow's golden eyes and spoke in a calm, steady voice. I know you're scared. I know you don't feel good, but I'm right here. I won't leave you. Shadow's growl stopped. His tail moved slightly, that strange wagging motion again. Go ahead, Doc, Taemin said. He trusts you now. Yuki gave the injection. Shadow didn't even flinch. Within minutes, his breathing became slow and deep. He was asleep. How do you do that? Bomi asked. She had been watching from the corner, too scared to come closer. Do what? Make him calm. Make him trust you. Taemin smiled. Same way you make friends with anyone, I guess. You show them you care. You don't hurt them. You keep your promises. But he's a predator, Bomi said. Predators don't make friends, says who? The question was simple, but it made Yuki think. Who had decided that predators couldn't have friends? Her people had always believed it, but why? My species has ancient stories, Yuki said as she began. The operation, predators hunt us. We run or hide. That's how it's always been. Maybe it doesn't have to be that way, Taemin suggested. As Yuki worked to remove the poison from Shadow's stomach, Taemin told them stories. Shadow wasn't always like this. He began when we found him. He was maybe 3 months old, small, enough to fit in my lap, but already had those big paws and sharp teeth. Yuki listened while she operated. Her scanner showed Shadow's vital signs, heart rate, breathing, brain activity. Everything looked normal for a sleeping predator. But the readings also showed something else. Something impossible. The people who had him before were cruel, Taemin continued. They kept him in a cage barely big enough for his body, fed him just enough to keep him alive, hit him when he made noise. That's terrible, Bomi whispered. When we rescued him, he was so scared he wouldn't let anyone touch him. He would bite if you got too close. Not because he was mean, because he was afraid. Yuki looked at her scanner again. Shadow's brain patterns were unusual. They didn't match normal predator readings. They looked more like the patterns she saw in domestic animals, animals that lived with other species, animals that had learned to trust. How did you change him? She asked. Patience, food. Never raising our voices, never hitting him, even when he bit us, and he bit us a lot, those first few weeks. Taemin laughed at the memory. I still have scars on my arms from his baby teeth. But every day, he got a little less afraid. Started eating from our hands. Let us pet him when he was sleepy. And now he thinks he's the ship's mascot. Follows me everywhere. Sleeps in my cabin, takes up most of the bed. Gets jealous if I pay attention to other animals. Yuki found the damaged part of Shadow's stomach and began repairing it. The poison had burned through the lining, but the damage wasn't too bad. He would heal. The scanner shows something strange, she said. His brain patterns. They're not like a wild predator. What do you mean? Wild predators think about hunting, territory, dominance. Shadow's brain shows patterns of attachment, loyalty, protection, like he's bonded to your species. Taemin nodded. Makes sense. Humans have been doing this for thousands of years. We call it domestication. Domestication, taking wild animals and helping them become companions. Dogs, cats, horses, cattle. They all started as wild creatures. Over many generations, they changed to live with us. Bomi fluttered her wings in confusion. But why would predators want to live with their prey? We're not really prey, Taemin explained. Humans evolved as hunters too. We understand predators because we are predators, in a way. But we're also smart enough to choose cooperation over competition. Yuki finished the operation and began closing the incision. I've never heard of anything like this. Really? What about your assistant there? Taemin pointed to Bomi. She's not the same species as you, right? But she works with you, trusts you, probably considers you a friend. That's different, Yuki protested. We're both intelligent species. We can talk to each other. Can you talk to Shadow? Of course not. He's just an animal. Taemin walked over to Shadow's sleeping form and gently stroked his fur. Watch this when he wakes up. Really watch. See if you still think he's just an animal. The operation was complete. Shadow's vital signs were strong and steady. The poison was gone, and his stomach was healing. He would be fine. But Yuki's understanding of the universe had changed. Everything she thought she knew about predators and prey, about the natural order of things, was wrong. Or maybe it had never been right to begin with. How many animals like Shadow do humans have? She asked. Millions. Maybe billions. On every human world, in every human ship. We don't see them as tools or weapons. They're family. Family predator. As Family. Shadow began to wake up, making soft sounds as the sleeping medicine wore off. His golden eyes opened and immediately searched for Timon. When he saw the human's face, Shadow's tail began to wag harder. He tried to lift his head, wanting to be closer to his person. Easy boy, Timon said softly. You're still healing, just rest. Shadow settled back down, but kept his eyes on Timon. The look was pure. Love and trust. Yuk, I had to admit it. This was no ordinary predator. This was something new entirely. Shadow was awake now, but still weak from the operation. He lay on the medical table with his head resting against Timon's arm. Every few minutes, he would look around the room, then back at his human, as if making sure he was still there. The operation went well, Yuki told them. He needs to rest for a few hours, then he can go back to your ship. Thank you, Dr. Timon said. You saved his life. Before Yuki could reply, the medical bay doors opened again. 2 more humans walked in, and Yuki felt her fear return. More humans meant more surprises, and she wasn't sure she could handle any more today. The first human was a woman with short black hair and a serious face. She wore a uniform with marks that showed she was important. The second was also a woman, but younger, with kind eyes and clothes that looked like a scientist's. How's our boy doing? Asked the older woman. He's going to be fine, Commander Jiho. Timon replied. Dr. Yuki here did amazing work. Commander Jiho nodded to Yuki with respect. Thank you for helping him. Shadow is ... special to our crew. The younger human moved closer to the table. Shadow's tail wagged weakly when he saw her. Hello, Dr. Yuki. I'm Dr. Sujin, the team's animal expert, she said with a warm smile. I study how different species live together. Live together? Bomi asked from her corner. She was still nervous, but curiosity was winning over fear. Oh yes, Sujin said. Humans have been making friends with other species for a very long time. Shadow isn't unusual at all. Well, not for us. Jiho pulled out a small device and showed them a moving picture. On the screen was a human child, maybe 5 years old, playing with an orange and black striped creature that was bigger than the child. This is my daughter back on Earth, Jiho said proudly. That's her pet tiger, Sunny. Yuki's scales went pale. That's a tiger. Those are the most dangerous hunters on your world. Wild tigers are dangerous, yes, but Sunny was born in captivity. She's been with human families for generations. She's as gentle as Shadow here. More pictures appeared on the screen. Human children riding on the backs of massive reptiles with sharp teeth. Humans swimming with creatures that had dozens of tentacles. Humans playing games with animals that looked like they could swallow a person whole. I don't understand, Yuki said, weakly. These are all predators. They should be hunting. Humans, not playing with your children. Sujin sat down on a chair near the medical table. Can I explain something about humans? It might help you understand. Yuki nodded, though she wasn't sure she wanted to understand anymore. Her world was already turned upside down. Most species in the galaxy evolved as either hunters or prey. Sujin began. Your people, the Velthari, evolved as prey. When you see a predator, your body tells you to run or hide. It's automatic. Yes, Yuki said. We can't help it. And predator species, when they see prey, their bodies tell them to hunt. Also automatic, Bomi nodded. She understood this too. But humans evolved differently. We were both hunter and prey. We hunted other animals for food, but we were also hunted by bigger, stronger creatures. Sujin showed them another picture. This one was very old, painted on stone. It showed early humans running from a massive creature with long teeth, but also humans working together to hunt a large animal. Because we were both, we learned to understand both sides. We know what it feels like to be afraid, and we know what it feels like to hunt. This helps us connect with all kinds of animals. But how do you make them safe? Yuki asked. How do you take away their need to hunt? We don't take it away, Jiho said. We give them something better to do with those instincts. She showed them another picture. This one showed Shadow, but younger and smaller, wearing a special vest and walking beside human soldiers. Shadow was trained as a rescue animal. He uses his hunting skills to find lost people. His nose can track a human scent for miles. His strength lets him carry injured people to safety. He's saved 17 lives so far, Taemin added, stroking Shadow's fur. He doesn't hunt people, he hunts for people. Yuki looked at the sleeping predator with new eyes. Those powerful muscles weren't just for killing. That sharp nose wasn't just for tracking prey. Those strong legs weren't just for chasing victims. This is why other species find humans confusing, Sujin continued. You see a predator and think danger. We see a predator and think potential partner. But surely some animals can't be changed, Bomi said. She had moved closer, her curiosity finally winning over her fear. Sujin smiled. Would you like to see my research facility back on Earth? She activated another device, and suddenly the room filled with a three-dimensional image. Yuki found herself looking at a huge building surrounded by green fields. This is the Interspecies Cooperation Center, Sujin explained. We study how humans and animals can work together. The image changed, showing the inside of the building. Yuki saw things that shouldn't exist. A creature that looked like a giant lizard with wings was gently placing small objects in boxes while a human watched. The human was teaching it, and the creature was learning. That's Rex, Sujin said. He's what humans call a dragon, though he's really a modified flying reptile. He helps us with construction work. Those claws that could tear metal are perfect for handling building materials. The image changed again. Now Yuki saw creatures that looked like smaller versions of Shadow, but with different colored fur. They were in a room with human children, who looked sick or sad. Therapy wolves, Sujin explained. These ones work in hospitals. Children who are scared or lonely feel better when they pet them. The wolves were trained to be extra gentle and calm. Impossible, whispered Yuki. Predators don't care about the feelings of prey. These ones do. Because we taught them to. The images kept coming. Underwater creatures with sharp teeth, helping humans explore the ocean depths. Flying predators carrying messages between human cities. Even tiny creatures that looked like they were made of living shadow, helping humans by eating harmful insects. Every single one of these animals could hurt humans, Sujin said, but they choose not to, because we gave them something better than hunting. We gave them purpose, companionship, and love. Jiho added, and in return, they protect us, help us, and make our lives better. It's not slavery or control, it's partnership. Yuki looked around the room. At Shadow, recovering from surgery, but still watching his human with loving eyes. At Taemin, who risked his safety to comfort a predator. At the other humans, who spoke of dangerous creatures like they were talking about family. How long has your species been doing this? She asked. Thousands of years, Sujin replied. It started with wild wolves that learned to live near human camps. Over time, those wolves became dogs. Then we tried it with other species. Each success taught us more about how to communicate across species barriers. Bomi fluttered her wings. Excitedly. Are there other alien species learning to do this too? The humans looked at each other. Jiho smiled. Actually, yes. You're not the first aliens to ask us about this. There's a young crystal on Station Beta 7 who's been working with small predators from his home world, and a group of energy beings near the Vega system just started a program to understand physical creatures better. The galaxy is changing, Sujin said. Species that never talked to each other before are becoming friends. And it all started with humans learning to see past fear and find connection instead. Yuki realized her entire worldview was crumbling. Everything her species had believed about predators, about safety, about the natural order, it was all wrong. Or maybe it had never been natural at all. Maybe it was just the way things were before someone decided to change them. Shadow made a soft sound and opened his golden eyes. When he saw all the humans around him, his tail began to wag harder, though he was still too weak to lift his head. "That's my boy," Taman said softly. "Feeling better?" Shadow's answer was a gentle purr. That filled the room with warmth instead of fear. For the first time in her life, Yuki heard a predator's voice and felt safe. Shadow was getting stronger. He could lift his head now and even tried to sit up when Taman moved away from the table. His golden eyes followed every human in the room, and his tail wagged whenever someone spoke to him. "He's recovering fast," Yuki observed. "Much faster than I expected." "Shadow's always been tough," Jiho said. "But there's something else you should know about humans and our animal friends. Something not so happy." The commander's face became serious. Sujin also looked sad. "What do you mean?" Bomi asked. She had finally moved close enough to see Shadow up close, though she still kept her distance. G-Ho pulled out her device again. This time, the images that appeared were dark and frightening. "We weren't always like this," she said quietly. "Humans have done terrible things in the past." The first image showed human ships attacking alien worlds. Explosions lit up the darkness of space. Cities burned on planet surfaces. When humans first learned to travel between stars, we were afraid. We saw other species and thought they wanted to hurt us, so we hurt them first. Yuki felt her scales grow cold. These images looked like the worst stories her people told about the early days of space travel. Wars between species that lasted for generations. This was about 200 years ago, Sujin explained. Humans had just discovered faster-than-light travel. We found worlds with other intelligent species, and instead of trying to communicate, we attacked. The images showed more destruction, alien cities in ruins, creatures running in fear from human soldiers. Some species, Yuki recognized, they were extinct now. "We destroyed 3 entire civilizations," Jiho said, her voice full of shame. "Billions of beings died because we were too scared and too proud to try understanding them." "But why are you telling us this?" Yuki asked. "It makes humans look evil, because it's the truth," Jiho replied. "And because understanding our mistakes helps explain why we changed." The images shifted to show a different scene. A dying world, its sky dark red, its cities empty. But this world had not been destroyed by humans. "This was the planet Kethmera," Sujin said. "We found it 50 years after our last war. The Kethmerans had been like us, afraid of other species, quick to fight. But they had been fighting each other for so long that they destroyed their own world." The image showed the last survivors of the Kethmoran people. They were thin and sick, living in underground shelters. Their planet was dying around them. They had split into groups based on fear, Jiho explained. Predator-type Kethmorans fought prey-type Keth. Both sides built bigger weapons, developed worse ways to hurt each other. In the end, everyone lost. Yuki watched the images with growing horror. She could see how it happened. Fear leading to violence, violence leading to more fear, until everything was destroyed. "The last Kethmoran elder asked to speak with our ship's captain," Sujin continued. "She was very old and very tired. She told us their whole history." A new image appeared. An alien creature that looked ancient and wise, but also incredibly sad. She said, "We spent 1,000 years learning to destroy each other. You humans have the same choice we had. You can keep fighting, or you can learn to build bridges instead of walls." "What happened to her?" Bomi asked quietly. "She died the next day. She was the last of her species." The room fell silent except for Shadow's quiet breathing. Even he seemed to sense the sadness in the air. "That's when humans decided to change," Jiho said. "We called it the Great Awakening. Our leaders looked at what we had done, looked at what happened to the Kethmorans, and decided we had to find a better way. How do you change an entire species? Yuki asked. Humans are predators. Fighting is in your nature. We didn't change our nature, Sujin explained. We changed what we did with it. Instead of using our hunting instincts to destroy, we used them to understand and protect. New images appeared. These showed humans working together with alien species, building cities, exploring space, sharing knowledge. It wasn't easy, Jiho admitted. Many humans didn't want to change. They said other species were too dangerous, too different. Some humans left Earth and formed their own colonies where they could keep fighting. But most of us stayed and learned, Sujin added. We started with the animals on our own world. If we could make friends with Earth's predators, maybe we could make friends with alien species too. Shadow made a soft sound, and Taemin immediately moved back to pet him. The big predator's eyes closed with happiness at the gentle touch. Shadow's great-great-grandmother was one of the first wolves to join a human family, Taemin said. Back then, people thought it was impossible. Wolves were seen as monsters, just like you saw Shadow when we first arrived. But you proved it could work, Bomi said. We proved that fear was the real enemy, Jiho replied. Not the creatures we were afraid of. Sujin activated another set of images. These showed human schools where children learned alongside young aliens. Human scientists working with alien researchers. Human families adopting alien children who had lost their parents. Once we learned to see past our fear of animals, it became easier to see past our fear of other intelligent species, she explained. We realized that being different didn't mean being dangerous. Now humans are known throughout the galaxy as peacemakers, Jiho said. When species have conflicts they can't solve, they call us to help. Not because we're the strongest or the smartest, but because we learned how to find common ground. Yuki looked at Shadow again. The massive predator was resting peacefully, completely trusting the humans around him. His very existence proved that the impossible could become possible. But there are still humans who think the old way, Sujin said sadly. Some colonies refuse to work with aliens. Some groups still believe that different means dangerous. What do you do about them? Yuki asked. We keep showing them a better way, Jiho replied. Every time a human child grows up playing with an alien friend, every time our species work together to solve problems, every time someone like Shadow proves that love is stronger than fear, we get closer to the world we want to build. Shadow struggled to sit up, wanting to be closer to Taemin. The human helped him, supporting the big predator's weight. Easy, boy, you're still healing. But Shadow was determined. He managed to rest his massive head on Taemin's shoulder, purring loudly. See, Taemin said to Yuki and Bomi, he's not thinking about hunting or territory or dominance. He's thinking about love and trust and family. We didn't break his nature, we gave his nature a better purpose. Yuki realized something important. The same thing could work with our species, couldn't it? Instead of being afraid of predators, we could learn to work with them. It's already starting, Sujin said with a smile. There are young Velthari on 3 different worlds who are learning to care for small predator animals. Your own people are beginning to change. And it all started with one person deciding to try something different, Jiho added. One human who chose to see a wolf as a potential friend instead of an automatic enemy. Bomi fluttered her wings excitedly. Maybe I could work with predator animals. Maybe you could, Taemin said. Shadow here would be happy to teach you. He's very patient with nervous beings. As if he understood, Shadow opened his golden eyes and looked at Bomi. Instead of the hunting stare she expected, his expression was gentle and curious. For the first time since they arrived, Bomi took a step toward the predator instead of away. It was a small step. But Yuki knew it was the beginning of something much bigger. Shadow was almost fully healed when the emergency alarm started ringing through Harmony Station. The sound was loud and urgent, the kind that meant real danger. All medical staff to Docking Bay 7 immediately, came the voice over the station's communication system. We have a refugee ship with multiple animal casualties. Some are aggressive and dangerous. Yuki felt her old fears return. Aggressive animals meant predators. Dangerous meant she would have to choose between running and doing her job. I have to go, she told the humans. It's my duty. We'll come with you, Jiho said immediately. You don't understand, Yuki protested. These are wild animals. Scared, hurt, and angry. They're not like Shadow. Taemin was already helping Shadow down from the medical table. The big predator was still weak, but he could walk. That's exactly why you need our help, Taemin said. Shadow and I know how to calm frightened predators. But Shadow just had surgery. He needs rest. Shadow looked at Yuki with his golden eyes and made a soft sound. Somehow, she understood. He was telling her he wanted to help. Predators are pack animals, Sujin explained as they hurried through the station corridors. When one member of the pack is calm, it helps the others calm down too. Shadow can show the other animals that humans are safe. They reached Docking Bay 7 to find chaos. A refugee ship from the war zones had arrived with dozens of animals in cages. Most of the creatures were hurt, scared, or both. Some were making loud noises, roars, howls, and screams that echoed through the bay. Station security guards stood far back from the cages, their weapons ready. Other alien medical staff looked terrified. We can't get close enough to help them, explained Dr. Ket, the station's head veterinarian. His green tentacles shook with fear. Every time we approach, they attack the cage walls. Yuki looked at the animals and felt her body freeze. There were creatures she had never seen before, some with massive claws, others with rows of sharp teeth, all of them clearly built for hunting and killing. These came from the border worlds, the refugee ship's captain explained. He was a Zephyrian like Bomi, but his wings were torn and dirty. The war destroyed their homes. They've been trapped in these cages for weeks, with barely enough food and water. They're half crazy with fear and hunger. One of the cages held something that looked like a giant cat, but with 6 legs and spikes along its back. It threw itself against the cage door over and over, trying to break free. Its eyes were wild with panic. That one hasn't eaten in 3 days, the captain said sadly. It won't let anyone near its cage. I think it's dying. Not on my watch, Taemin said firmly. He turned to Shadow. What do you think, boy? Ready to make some new friends? Shadow's tail wagged weakly, but his eyes were alert and focused. He understood what Taemin was asking. This is insane, Dr. Ket said. You can't bring another predator near them. It will make them more aggressive, not less. Trust us, Jiho said calmly. We know what we're doing. Taemin approached the cage with the 6-legged cat creature. Shadow walked beside him, moving slowly and keeping his head low, a posture that meant I'm not a threat. The cat thing saw them coming and snarled, showing teeth like small knives. But then something strange happened. It stopped throwing itself at the cage. It was still scared, still angry, but it was paying attention to Shadow. That's right, Taemin said in a soft voice. Shadow's not going to hurt you, neither am I. Shadow lay down in front of the cage, making himself smaller and less threatening. He looked at the cat creature with calm, patient eyes. The cat thing made confused sounds. Its instincts told it that other predators were competition, enemies to fight. But Shadow wasn't acting like an enemy. He was acting like he wanted to help. Tae-Min sat down next to Shadow and pulled out some food from his pack. Not medicine or tools, just simple dried meat that smelled good. Hungry? He asked the cat creature. He held the food near the cage, but not close enough to threaten. Just close enough for the animal to smell it. The cat thing's whole body was shaking now. It wanted the food desperately, but it was still afraid of the trap, afraid of being hurt again. Shadow made a soft whimpering sound, the same sound he had made when he was sick and scared. It was a sound that said, I understand how you feel. The cat creature stopped snarling, for the first time since arriving. At the station, it was quiet. Good, Taemin whispered. That's very good. He placed the food near the cage door and backed away. After a long moment, the cat creature reached out with one paw and pulled the food inside. It ate quickly, watching them the whole time. Why UK? I watched in amazement. Around the bay, other animals were also becoming quieter. They could sense the change in the cat creature's behavior. Sujin Ji-ho, can you work on some of the others? Taemin asked. Bomi Yuki, want to help? Bomi surprised everyone by stepping forward. What should I do? Just sit quietly near one of the cages, Sujin suggested. Let them see that you're not afraid. Animals can sense fear, but they can also sense calm. One by one, the humans began working with the traumatized animals. They didn't use force or drugs or restraints. They used patience, gentle voices, and the promise of food and safety. Shadow moved from cage to cage with Taemin, showing the other predators that it was possible to trust. His calm presence seemed to spread through the entire bay like a peaceful infection. Yuk, I found herself working with a creature that looked like a cross between a bird and a lizard. It had been hurt in whatever disaster had destroyed its home, and one of its wings was broken. I need to fix your wing, she told it softly. I know you're scared, but I want to help. The creature looked at her with bright, intelligent eyes. It could see Shadow lying peacefully nearby. It could see the other animals accepting help from the aliens. Slowly, carefully, it allowed Yuki to open its cage. For the first time in her life, Yuki touched a predator without fear. Her hands were steady as she examined the broken wing. Her mind was focused on healing, not on running away. Hours passed. One by one, every animal in the bay was treated and fed. Some needed surgery, others just needed rest and kindness. All of them needed to remember what it felt like to be safe. As the emergency finally ended, Yuki looked around the bay. Alien medical staff who had been terrified were now working calmly alongside the rescued animals. Security guards had put away their weapons and were helping to clean empty cages. How did you do it? Dr. Ket asked the humans. How did you change them so quickly? We didn't change them, Ji-ho replied. We just reminded them that not all intelligent beings want to hurt them. Shadow was lying near several of the rescued animals now. Some were even sleeping close to him, finding comfort in his presence. The massive wolf who had terrified Yuki just days ago was now a source of peace for creatures from across the galaxy. Want to learn? Yuki said suddenly. I want to learn how to do what you do. So do I, said Bomi. Her wings fluttered with excitement instead of fear. Dr. Ket nodded slowly. Perhaps it's time for Harmony Station to offer a new kind of training, Sujin smiled. We'd be happy to teach anyone who wants to learn. The galaxy is full of animals that need help, and the more beings who know how to provide that help, the better. Pamin scratched Shadow behind the ears. The big predator's tail wagged happily. What do you think, boy? Ready to become a teacher? Shadow's answer was a gentle purr that seemed to say yes. Yuki realized that everything had changed. Not just for her, but for every species on the station. They had all learned something important today. Fear was a choice, and they could choose something better. The humans hadn't conquered the galaxy through force or superior technology. They had conquered it through something much more powerful. The simple idea that any creature, no matter how dangerous it looked, could become a friend if you just gave it a chance. Looking at Shadow surrounded by the rescued animals, all of them peaceful and safe, Yuki finally understood what Taemin had meant on that first day. Shadow really was just a spoiled murder puppy. And in a galaxy full of beings learning to choose love over fear, maybe they all could be.